Huawei is very dangerous.
Rarely does a country go to war with a private company.
We have met the enemy, and it is Huawei.
We're not going to do business with Huawei.
Huawei represents a national security risk.
But is this really about Huawei? Or is it something bigger than that?
Every morning, millions of people around the world reach for their devices, laptops, phones, tablets, powered by familiar names like Microsoft, Apple, and Google. These tech giants have quietly controlled the digital landscape for decades, their presence so embedded in our lives that we barely notice them anymore. But in the heart of China's tech hub, something unprecedented is unfolding. A major player, once brought to its knees by foreign pressure, is making a move that could fundamentally alter the global balance of power, not just in hardware, but in the very essence of how our devices work and interact with each other. In 2019, Huawei was one of the fastest-growing technology companies on the planet. Their smartphones were outselling iPhones in multiple key markets. Their laptops were gaining serious traction, and nothing seemed capable of stopping this relentless growth. Then came the hammer blow. American sanctions struck suddenly and with devastating force. Almost overnight, Huawei lost access to Google services, Android updates were cut off completely, and the critical chip supply that powered their entire device ecosystem was severed. This wasn't merely trade pressure or political posturing. This was a digital blockade designed to cripple the company at its core. Huawei found itself cut off not only from Western development tools, but from the very ecosystem upon which it had built its entire global business model. The company faced an existential choice that would define its future: adapt with desperate urgency or simply disappear from the global stage. They chose adaptation, but not in the way anyone expected. Behind closed doors, work began on something radical. This wasn't about replacing one application or creating a workaround for a single service. This was about constructing an entirely new foundation for digital independence. HarmonyOS wasn't announced with fanfare or flashy marketing campaigns. It started as a backup plan, a survival strategy prepared for the worst-case scenario. And that worst case became reality faster than anyone anticipated. In just a few short years, what began as an emergency response transformed into one of the most ambitious technology platforms on Earth. HarmonyOS now operates on more than 800 million devices worldwide, spanning smartphones and tablets to televisions, automobiles, smartwatches, and now, full-fledged personal computers. What started as a desperate attempt to circumvent sanctions has evolved into something far more significant: a complete system for digital autonomy. Huawei is no longer trying to work around restrictions using clever alternatives. They're building their own digital universe from the ground up, and the implications are staggering. HarmonyOS Next represents a clean break from everything that came before. Unlike conventional operating systems such as Windows, macOS, or Android, HarmonyOS Next is built entirely without American code. It wasn't developed using Linux as a foundation, it doesn't support Android applications, and it has zero integration with Google services. This is an independent system designed by Huawei according to their own standards and architectural vision. At its core lies a microkernel architecture that Huawei claims is significantly more secure and flexible than traditional monolithic operating systems. According to the company, this architecture has an attack surface that is 1,000 times smaller than Windows, dramatically reducing opportunities for hackers to find exploitable vulnerabilities. But security is only one piece of this puzzle. HarmonyOS Next is tightly integrated with Chinese-manufactured chips like the Kirin 9006C, which powers the new MateBook laptop models. In the artificial intelligence sphere, the system is optimized for the 910B chip, currently deployed in more than 1,300 data centers across China and positioned as a domestic alternative to NVIDIA's A100 processors. This deep fusion of hardware and software gives Huawei complete vertical control over the entire system stack, from the processor itself all the way up to the applications running on top. This level of integration allows for superior device optimization while simultaneously eliminating dependence on Intel, AMD, and Qualcomm. It also enables Huawei to adapt their operating system to China's rapidly expanding needs in artificial intelligence development, particularly crucial given the ongoing restrictions on Western chip supplies. The most radical aspect of HarmonyOS Next is its pursuit of almost complete digital autonomy. There's no Google Play Store, no compatibility layer for Microsoft services, no Android integration whatsoever. Everything from the file system architecture to the user interface has been rewritten from scratch. Huawei has developed proprietary alternatives for basic productivity applications, including documents, email, and cloud storage services. This isn't simply a technical upgrade or an incremental improvement. This represents a fundamental digital divide, a conscious decoupling from the Western technology ecosystem that has dominated global computing for generations. So, how does HarmonyOS Next actually perform in real-world usage? The initial testing results appear genuinely impressive. According to the Chinese Center for Software Testing, the new system from Huawei loads 32% faster than Windows 11 when running on comparable hardware. During multitasking operations, it consumes approximately 29% less RAM, which translates to noticeably smoother transitions between applications, even on medium specification devices. Chinese technology bloggers have described the interface as fast, highly responsive, and refreshingly minimalistic, with clean animations and polished transitions that feel like a mature, well-developed operating system. But dig deeper beneath the surface, and significant challenges emerge. The biggest obstacle facing HarmonyOS is its application ecosystem. Currently, the platform supports approximately 15,000 native desktop applications. By the end of 2025, Huawei plans to expand this number to 100,000 applications. For perspective, Windows boasts a library exceeding 660,000 applications, ranging from professional-grade software to highly specialized programs for niche tasks. HarmonyOS is notably missing several critical programs that professionals worldwide depend on daily. There's no Zoom for video conferencing, no Photoshop for professional image editing, and no full-featured Microsoft Office suite. According to data from Apani, only 6% of the top 1,000 international applications are currently available in Huawei's app gallery. This application gap matters enormously, particularly for students who rely on specific educational software, designers who need industry-standard creative tools, and entrepreneurs whose businesses depend on established productivity platforms. Huawei promises that more third-party developers will join the ecosystem and that popular Chinese applications will soon appear on desktop platforms, but exact timelines remain frustratingly vague. At this moment, HarmonyOS offers a convenient but notably isolated experience, comfortable and cohesive for users already embedded in the Huawei ecosystem, but severely limited for those attempting to integrate external tools and workflows. However, HarmonyOS Next was never designed to be a global clone of existing systems. It's being built specifically for a controlled environment where all hardware, software, and data remain within national borders. And this is precisely where the real transformation begins. While Huawei constructs its independent digital platform, Western technology companies are watching with mounting anxiety. Some maintain public silence while concerns escalate behind closed corporate doors. Microsoft, until recently the undisputed king of the Chinese PC market, is already feeling substantial pressure. In 2020, Windows commanded more than 82% of China's operating system market share. By early 2025, that figure had declined to 79%, and with the release of HarmonyOS on new laptop models, the erosion is only accelerating. Officially, Microsoft maintains its public composure, but active countermeasures are underway behind the scenes. In January 2025, the company opened a new research and development center in Beijing, specifically aimed at adapting their products to the rapidly changing conditions of the Chinese market. Internal documents leaked to the publication, the information reveal that Microsoft executives describe HarmonyOS as a persistent threat to their operating system dominance in sovereign countries, with particular concern focused on state-owned enterprises and the public sector. Microsoft isn't alone in its alarm. NVIDIA, although officially banned from supplying its most advanced chips to Huawei, acknowledged in a recent SEC filing that the company is carefully monitoring the growth of sovereign AI technology stacks throughout Asia, corporate language that thinly masks projects like HarmonyOS and the MindSpore artificial intelligence framework. Even Amazon's AWS cloud division is proceeding with notable caution. One top-level executive, speaking on condition of anonymity, admitted they had underestimated how rapidly China could develop sophisticated software systems over which Western companies have absolutely no control. As HarmonyOS expands its reach, the concern among Silicon Valley's elite extends far beyond simple market share losses. This is about losing fundamental influence over what the digital world looks like and who gets to dictate the rules governing it. The true power of HarmonyOS Next doesn't reside merely in its code, it's in its connectivity. Huawei isn't just developing an operating system for individual devices. They're creating a tightly integrated ecosystem where every screen, every sensor, every chip communicates in a unified digital language. Smartphones, tablets, laptops, smartwatches, printers, and household electronics can seamlessly share processing power, memory, and storage in real time. This capability has been enabled through an architecture that Huawei calls the super device. In practical terms, users can drag and drop files directly from their smartphone to their laptop, edit documents on their tablet, and send them to print straight from their refrigerator's interface, all without uploading anything to cloud servers. Everything happens locally and instantaneously. According to a report from China Media Group, a PowerPoint file measuring 1 gigabyte and containing 100 slides opened in just 1 second, even with more than a dozen applications running simultaneously in the background. Huawei's first quarter 2025 report confirms that over 230 million devices are already connected to this integrated system. This level of deep integration isn't merely about user convenience. It's a deliberately calculated strategy. The more Huawei devices you own, the more harmoniously and efficiently they interact with each other. But without multiple branded smartphones or tablets, many of the advanced collaboration features become completely unavailable. For users within China, where Huawei devices and the system infrastructure are ubiquitous, the entire ecosystem feels complete and cohesive. But for those accustomed to open platforms and third-party application support, this represents more of a gilded cage, beautiful and functional, but with only one controlled entry point. This approach fundamentally shifts the competitive battlefield from individual product comparisons to complete vertical ecosystem control. Huawei isn't simply betting on superior speed or sleeker design aesthetics. They're offering a completely autonomous digital world where everything is optimized toward two primary objectives: productivity and user loyalty. And in a country where trust in foreign technology is declining rapidly, this kind of comprehensive control isn't perceived as a limitation. It's a new form of technological leverage and national strength. The story of HarmonyOS extends far beyond a single company's strategic pivot. It's a crucial element of a broader state-level strategy that China has been deliberately pursuing since 2020. Under the official slogan of reliable and controllable, the government has committed to creating a complete technology stack, from microprocessors to operating systems, that functions exclusively within national borders, free from foreign dependencies. HarmonyOS fits organically into this comprehensive vision. Top executives at Huawei have confirmed that by 2025, HarmonyOS will be operating on more than 800 million devices, spanning consumer products like phones and tablets, as well as televisions, automobiles, and now personal computers. But this isn't solely about consumer electronics. Government institutions in the provinces of Guangdong, Hubei, and Zhejiang have already begun transitioning their internal systems to domestic platforms. The Ministry of Industry and Information Technology of China has stated explicitly that by 2027, all government services must complete their migration to domestic operating systems, and Huawei appears positioned to be the primary technology provider facilitating this massive transition. In 2024, Huawei invested approximately 180 billion yuan, equivalent to roughly $25 billion USD, in research and development activities, with concentrated focus on software engineering and chip development. These enormous funds aren't being directed toward flashy consumer features, but toward building fundamental system infrastructure, development tools for programmers, chipset compatibility layers, and artificial intelligence integration capabilities. In June, founder Ren Zhengfei confirmed that the company plans to invest an additional $25 billion in research and development throughout the current year. The particular strength of this strategy lies in its scalability and export potential. It can extend well beyond China's borders. Countries currently operating under American sanctions or nations increasingly concerned about American digital surveillance and data access are watching these developments with intense interest. If HarmonyOS successfully demonstrates long-term stability and genuine technological independence, it could transform into a valuable export product, essentially a packaged digital sovereignty solution for governments and industries worldwide that want access to modern technology without accepting dependence on American platforms and oversight. This isn't simply about competition between Windows and Android anymore. This is about fundamentally revising the concept of who controls the software infrastructure that powers our digital existence. Huawei isn't merely operating within the framework of China's state technology strategy, it's actively becoming the technological framework itself. And as the system progressively covers schools, banking institutions, government ministries, and military organizations, a new digital barrier is rising quietly and methodically. A barrier where the foundational rules are written entirely in Chinese code, governed by Chinese priorities, and operated according to Chinese standards. This story reaches far beyond Huawei or Microsoft as individual corporations. At its core, this is about control. Control over code, control over data, control over the future itself. If China succeeds in constructing a completely autonomous digital ecosystem, genuinely independent from Silicon Valley's technological infrastructure, it could fundamentally reshape the balance of global technological power, not through dramatic headlines or sudden announcements, but through millions upon millions of quiet individual decisions, one device adoption at a time. And if other nations around the world decide to follow this same path toward digital sovereignty, what happens to the interconnected digital systems upon which the rest of the world has built modern life? The rules governing global technology are changing right now, today, in real time. The central question facing all of us is deceptively simple, but monumentally important. Who will write the next generation of rules? Will digital sovereignty fragment the connected world we've built? Or will it create a new multipolar technology landscape? Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the unfolding developments that are actively shaping our digital future. What do you think? Is this technological independence a necessary evolution, or are we witnessing the beginning of a permanently divided digital world?